All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's Friday night, and we might be early, but we're so excited about our guest tonight here on Sportswire Radio because he is going to be in the ring here next month for the Tag Team Championships of Nonstop Action Wrestling, and yet another company, a debut company, which we have spoke about quite a bit here over the past several months, that is Wrestling Appreciation Society. Of course, we had coverage about the company on Sunday with Sammy Rice's return to the ring as a referee, and our guest tonight is going to have undoubtedly a lot to say about the society, plus Wednesday's guest who we announced, plus much, much more. I'm excited about this guy. He's a part of a new tag team called Phantom of the Outlaw with a guest we had on last month, Owen Carter, the real outlaw. He needs no further introduction, but we're giving it to him anyway. So let's wait for it. Further ado here on the Sports Report. Number one, Level Sports Show. Pro wrestling star here from the Wrestling Appreciation Society. They call him the Phantom Phoenix. Phantom, how are you, my friend?
I'm very good, Mr. Bryce. And a good evening to you too, and a good evening to everyone watching. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely excited about this. I think you're the first person that certainly had a tire the way you have it here. And you're also early on Sportswire. Usually I'm late. I'm usually running to do something, but we were both on time and we wanted to get right to it because certainly there is a lot to get into here with you, my
Technology has to have its fun, doesn't it?
Yes, and that's what we did. Certainly, yes, the technical difficulties there do happen, but certainly for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire, set the tables for us and how you got involved in this crazy world called professional wrestling.
Well, I've been watching wrestling since I was rather young, and I've always enjoyed it. The stories, the violence, the brutality. I wanted a piece of that. I wanted all of it. And now, thanks to the Wrestling Appreciation Society, I'm here living it.
You are definitely doing that and some here, and I have some comments here. And Skulls, who is actually had his own stream last night, has been with us a couple of different times on Sportswire Radio, of course, from the EWF, and I guess you can say now Wrestling Championship Entertainment. Says Skulls smells some soul. Also, Andrew Hanley, of course. Andrew, one of our big fans on Sportswire. I love Andrew, says good evening. And Skulls wants to know, is it a Mad Max look? Are you inspired by the old Mel Gibson Mad Max movies, which I don't think I've seen in like ages, but is that a influence of yours?
There's no movies with this influence. There's a story behind all of this.
So let's talk about the story then. Go ahead.
When I was younger, there's two, as you can see here, there's two sides of me. One human, one not so much. This side of me, he was born without a family. No mother, no father, which is a good source for some of Mr. Majakes' jokes. I'm sure we'll hear them soon. But the demon, or the Phoenix, as everyone has come to know him, he was taken in by this divine, great entity. But he was weak. He was powerless. And so he found himself the human. He and the human have an agreement. He lives his life, and I live mine. But there's a lot of things he and I agree on, especially with our opponents at Deadline, the Society. We both have agreed that we want nothing more than to take them down and to take their titles.
Well, we're going to certainly find out coming up here on April the 29th. And I want to ask you a question on a second here about some of those things you just said. And also, Skull says Tommy Lee Jones, a.k.a. Two-Face. Now, that was Batman. And was that Batman Forever, I think? That was Batman Forever, right? Batman Forever, I think, was that was the movie with Tommy Lee Jones and Jim Carrey. But that's a side point here. But, you talked about these two different sides of the Phantom Phoenix. And I'm curious for those that are listening and watching to this on Sportswire Radio. How often do you have to fight, let's say, the side where you're not human and those kind of non-human elements that could maybe make you do the wrong thing or maybe make you do something that could impact a lot of people in a negative way here, my friend?
Luckily for my human side, I'm a patient being. If someone annoys me or rubs me the wrong way, I can look by it and just accept it. But in some cases, this will come out and handle the business that needs to be dealt with.
Well, you certainly look like you have that here. And also here coming up when we're going to see you guys in the ring. Certainly, we heard a lot from Owen Carter, your tag team partner, and you guys have kind of had an interesting relationship, an interesting last several months on in Wrestling Appreciation Society. I mean, talk about how you guys, for those that aren't aware of how you guys got together and have kind of aligned here in the Wrestling Appreciation Society.
Well, Owen Carter and I, we started off on the wrong foot, I'd say. We weren't friends, but I also would say we weren't enemies. We were just rivals. Competition that we wanted to destroy. He saw me as just a stepping stone, and I assured him that I'm just more than that. But as soon as this Master Attacker started coming for all of us here in WAS, we decided to lay everything to the ground, put our differences to the side, and work together to stop this Master Attacker, and then enter the society. We wanted the gold, and now we have the chance to earn it.
You guys definitely do. And let's talk about the Master Attacker here for a second, because that is something that has come up here as a topic on Sportswire Radio. Certainly, we spoke a lot about it with Owen Carter. We spoke about it in the past, obviously, with the who's who of people in the Wrestling Appreciation Society. Matt Royale is another example of somebody we had on recently. We spoke about this. And I mean, we haven't still got to the bottom of this yet here in Wrestling Appreciation Society. I mean, what's your thoughts on why we haven't been able to kind of crack who is this Masked Attacker? It almost reminds me in a lot of ways of years ago and who ran over Stone Cold. And we wound up finding out over a year later. I mean, let's hope it's not going to be that long. But talk about maybe your kind of thoughts on why we haven't been able to crack this nut, more or less.
Oh, we may not know who the Master Attacker is yet, but that's lucky for them. Because as soon as we find out who they are, we are going to wipe them out. But there is something that does concern me. Obviously, I'm sure we all saw the recent attack on Mr. KP, who will be fighting for the Northern Division Championship at Deadline. There was someone watching as he was attacked. None other than Prisoner Psycho. So I would have a few questions of him the next time I see him. I'm sure Owen Carter would as well.
So let's talk about that. Obviously, we're going to see KP in the ring against Supersonic Sammy Blue, our Northern Division champion. And I'm going to throw this out there. I mean, do you think, let's maybe talk about this in a way, do you think there's even a possibility that it could actually even be somebody outside of the Wrestling Appreciation Society that could be this Masked Attacker? I mean, you have a thought or two on that?
There's every chance that it could be someone outside of WAS. It could be someone who we never considered for this event, and they are trying to get back at us. It could be someone inside or outside. Unfortunately, right now, we don't know, but hopefully soon we will.
All right, let me just throw this out here as a thought. Tell me your opinion on this. And obviously, we've seen a lot of people talk about you guys in the Wrestling Appreciation Society. We're all almost as young, up and coming trainees. Most of the wrestlers don't necessarily have the experience of, let's say, even those in, let's say, non-stop action wrestling, which was obviously almost in a way kind of a cross-promotional show with you guys. In a way, you're almost like the brother or sister to Nonstop Action Wrestling. And Do you think, let's just throw it out there, is it a possibility that, let's say, maybe somebody in NSAW is kind of behind this as a way maybe to kind of, as a way get back at you guys, or maybe just in a way kind of put, as some wrestlers may want to put some of you guys in your place? Do you think that's a possibility?
Once again, we never know, but it could be inside or it could be outside, and we hope to find out soon. But if it is someone in the NSAW, I'm sure management will be able to take care of them.
Well, management in non-stop action wrestling, or the Wrestling Appreciation Society, because we know that management certainly couldn't do much to stop Sammy Rice, our guest Sunday, from being attacked by Wednesday's guest, the lawman, Kyle Kennedy, 1/4 of those NSAW Tag Team Champions.
Well, although the attack on Sammy Rice may have got past them, Kennedy, for now, has escaped us. That will change. Come deadline, Donny Franchise will take care of him, and Owen Carter and I will deal with the rest of them. We will send them a message that if you attack one of us, you face all of us.
All right, well, we're going to certainly find out here. Before I get to a few comments, I want to give a big shout out to somebody, big fan of yours, watching from the state of California here in the United States. That is Anastasia Riznia. She's become a big wrestling fan over the past few months, loves watching our shows here on Sportswire, and definitely want to cheer her up. Hope she's doing well out there. And obviously, California has been deluged by some massive rainstorms, so we hope everybody is safe and sound. And WrestleMania weekend's coming to Hollywood. So Anastasia is not too far from there, but she's with us because obviously we're bigger than WrestleMania 39. But enough about that. But let's get to some comments. Skull said it's like the group called DDC from TNA, or when DDP was the Mask Attacker. I don't remember DDC and TNA, and I watched TNA Impact pretty much from the old in America Fox Sports days. We're talking like 2004. That was when I think it was Kevin Nash and Scott Hall showed up to help Jeff Jarrett, so I don't remember DDC, but I do remember DDP being the Mask Attacker who famously attacked The Undertaker's then wife, Sarah, which was kind of one of the most bizarre storylines, I think, and that was kind of one of the reasons why I think that whole Alliance storyline kind of went down the chute there. But also, we do have Nonstop Action Wrestling. They have tuned in here. Management says, evening, gentlemen. I think I'm going to have somebody on from management next week come on here. So we'll have an announcement for that in a little while. Also, Adam Morgan, who does a lot of great things over in Texas, big pro wrestling star, says, it's probably one of them juggalos. I think you're talking about the Insane Clown Posse, which I haven't heard that reference for a while. And Skull said in California, we had a tornado a few days ago. Boy, I hope everybody is safe out there in California. Here in New York, it's I'm almost about to break out my shorts, but you guys in California are going through those things, so my thoughts and prayers. But all right, so you know what? Management here has tuned in here, Mr. Phoenix. And I want to give you the opportunity. Anything you want to say to management? Anything that's on your mind that you'd like to address that you think is important now that they're tuned in here with us live?
Of course, I have to give my highest due respects to the NSAW management. Obviously, a lot of us here in WAS were inexperienced. We had no training, and they have taken us in and given us more than we could possibly have asked for. So I give my greatest part of respect to them.
Now, I have to ask you, let me ask you a devil's advocate question, or throw maybe a different perspective of that. Would you also consider, let's say, I don't know, MX Knights, aka Richard Knights, as one of those members of management that you would also respect?
Well, obviously, there has been some controversy surrounding his name, especially at All Hallows Eve when he tried to help Kyle Kennedy win the title. Failed, by the way. But yes, of course, I do give some respect to him as he has allowed us to come and train with them.
All right, fair enough here. And certainly, speaking of the society in a second, I'll get to a comment from the society. But Skull said DDC was members of Bram, James Storm, and Eddie Kingston. Okay, Bram, who famously, I don't know if I should say this, but I'll say it. Bram, I believe, famously was Charlotte Flair's first husband. So that's certainly a trivia question for those that are listening and watching, kind of saying, wow, that's the first time Bram's been mentioned in a while. But speaking of people that are coming on here Wednesday, and obviously we've kind of alluded a little bit back and forth here of the society, We are speaking about the lawman Kyle Kennedy. I'm going to have an announcement for something that I have of the lawman Kyle Kennedy, which I'm going to show on air in a few minutes. But he says, "Hey Rem, oh wait, never mind." And certainly the lawman is certainly somebody that always has something to say. And what do you want to say to the lawman Kyle Kennedy now that he's here with us live?
Mr. Kennedy, you may compare me to your boss, Remus Kane, but I'm nothing like him. And when the day comes that I step into the ring, I will prove that to you. I'm not just some B-Tech Remus Kane, as you may call me. I will be the first Phantom Phoenix.
Let's talk about Remus Kane for a second. You and Remus Kane, as I kind of alluded to at the top, have had an interesting back and forth on social media for the past several months. And obviously, Remus Kane is somebody that's actually made his mark in a number of different places. I would say most notably of late in Cutlery Championship Wrestling. And they have a big show coming up next week as well. And Remus Kane, we've seen him in the places like GTM, GT Ministries, UKW, and he's made a name for himself. And he's certainly somebody that has impressed a lot of people and has earned the respect from many across the different companies that we cover on Sportswire Radio. I mean, so why the back and forth with Remus Kane? Is it maybe because you see him doing things you don't agree with, or is it because he's in a position that you would like to claim here coming up next month, the deadline?
Well, despite my personal feelings towards Remus Kane, once again, I do have to give him a great deal of respect. As you said before, he has been to many different companies and proven why he can be one of the top stars in this industry. But the animosity comes from is because he has something that I want. He, along with the rest of the society, have those tag team championships. And I want that. Myself and Carter, we want to be called the NSAW tag team champions. And if it means going through Remus, then bring it on.
Well, we're going to certainly find out here, and I want everybody to follow the Wrestling Appreciation Society at WrestleSociety.HUD on Instagram, also NSOR Wrestling UK, also on Instagram, also Nonstop Action Wrestling on Facebook, also NSOR Res_UK on Twitter, Nonstop Action Wrestling on YouTube, and also please follow the Phantom Phoenix as well on Instagram at _Phantom Phoenix. And my name, you know by now, is the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, and that is the Reverend Tom Bryce here. So enough about me, but let's get to some more comments here. So before I ask you about those tag team championships, Skulls wants to say, no Miranda rights for you, Kyle Kennedy, which is a reference here to the United States Constitution, which reminds me of my law and evidence class. I'm not a lawyer, but I am a notary public, so I have some responsibilities as a lawyer. So you remind me, Skulls, of when I was in law class back in college a little while ago. But thank you, Skulls, for the legal terms here. Certainly, I'll leave the legal terms for another show on Sportswire Radio. But, you talked about those tag team championships, and those tag team championships are very pretty. We saw, obviously, the Society win those at the Tommy Dillon charity show about 2 months ago, and they have certainly held in a firm grip on those championships. And for you guys here in the Wrestling Appreciation Society next month, the deadline, now that obviously we know that we're going to see a different date coming up with Zenith, you guys get this crack here. It's pretty much you guys now have even an important shot here. It almost kind of gives you guys even more time to prepare, and it puts more of a spotlight on you guys. How big would it be, not just for you and your tag team partner, Owen Carter, but the entire Wrestling Appreciation Society to take away those tag team championships from the society April 29th at deadline?
It would be possibly the greatest achievement amongst all of us. Because, like as I said before, we don't have that much experience when it comes to this business. A lot of us haven't been in this for as long as others. But obviously, Mad Real's been here. He's been doing this for over 6 years now. And yet, both myself and Carter, we've been doing this for under a year. And for us to make our debut in this caliber of a match, to fight for these championships, is nothing short of an honor.
Let me ask you a question. Speaking about experience, and certainly Callum Jakes to the upgrade, certainly somebody I know you've had some back and forth with also here on these streams and just on social media. He's been in the business for 10 years. This is his first championship. I mean, this probably means more to him than anybody else in the society. And you're going to be across the apron from him next month in Huddersfield. I mean, I would have to think, though, he's going to fight like tooth and nail to keep those championships, in addition to also all the different things, as you alluded to a little while ago, especially about what he said about you and well, your mother?
Well, first of all, Callum, if you know who my mother is, could you tell her to send me a postcard? But as far as championships go, I know what the society are going to bring. They're going to bring everything that they have. Whether they have Kennedy and Jenny Hayes win their corner, they are going to not stop fighting. They will not lie down for us. Carter and I, we will be prepared for them. We have been putting in the preparation, the hard work, and the training. And whatever they throw at us, we will throw back harder. And if they get us down, we will be sure to get back up again and keep on fighting.
All right, let me ask you though, because you touched upon the numbers game, and certainly the society have the numbers, unlike anybody right now. I would say in professional wrestling, you've got the lawman Kyle Kennedy, you've got Jenny Hayes. Obviously, Jenny Hayes is a huge part of things in the society, and she has certainly turned here to a different side the past few months in her own right. But how do you then combat the numbers game? I mean, you and Owen are big guys, no question. You and Owen can definitely throw your weight around there in the ring, but how do you combat this numbers advantage that the society has?
Well, it won't be easy, as we saw when Owen Carter was in the ring with Remus Kane. Callum Majakester did get himself involved, and we will have to keep an eye on that. We will need to be aware. But hopefully the numbers game will be shorter than what we expect, with Donny Franchise taking on Kyle Kennedy at Deadline. And Donny, all my respect to you, kick his you-know-what.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, the Phantom Phoenix is definitely throwing some words out there, and got to give him credit for those that are listening and watching on Sportswire Radio, because he made sure not to basically throw out the curse word here on the radio, because I always appreciate that, because sometimes we have wrestlers on, and they'll drop the F-bomb. We had Slugger Hampton on last month, and he just throws the F-bomb out there. It's like, well, we can't do nothing about it because when you throw it out there, but on radio purposes, we want to make sure that we limit that just in case, God forbid, a sponsor or a censor says, hey, I heard you say this or that. So that's fine and well. But want to get to a couple of comments. Michael Knowles says, I have returned to the best radio show with the amazing host, Tom Bryce. Good evening, gentlemen. Thank you, Michael, for the kind words. And Michael, we've seen at a number of NSAW shows, and we hope, Michael, you will be at the 29th at the University of Huddersfield there for when it comes to Wrestling Appreciation Society's Deadline. And Skulls, who, by the way, has a GoFundMe page set up for him to come to the UK, he says he's planning to come to the UK here in the new year if the money comes up. Well, you've got 9 months. We'll see how much money people can raise for Skulls. So we'll have to find out if Skulls can find his way to the United Kingdom to maybe, who knows, cross paths with the society, cross paths with Wrestling Appreciation Society. We know we're going to see him in Wrestling Championship Entertainment, though. So thank you, Skulls, for reminding us here. And also, Michael says it'll be me, Ryan, and his son, Ethan. We will be at Deadline. All right, so let's talk about Deadline for a second. I'll come back to the tag team titles. I'll come back to Remus Kane and Callum Jakes to the upgrade in a second. But Wrestling Appreciation Society, this is your first introduction to the wrestling world. And now you've got a tag team championship shot. You've talked about that this is a real honor, but talk about the show in itself, because it's going to be super, super big, because it's so big now, Phantom Phoenix, that it was announced not too long ago. In fact, we were the ones to break it on Sportswire Radio, that the legendary Gareth Angel, the multiple-time GT Ministries world champion, he has been a main eventer almost in every company he has been in. He has been a movie star. We have seen him on BBC. We've seen him pretty much do it all here in the professional wrestling world. And outside of it is going to even be a Deadline Rumble. We're going to see a who's who of people, I have no doubt, to be announced even further, to be announced in the next few weeks. But talk about just what it's like to be a part of a show like this coming up and how big it's going to be.
Well, Deadline itself means a lot to so many of us, especially for what we are doing it for. I was at Cancer Research UK, amazing charity, doing such amazing work, trying to stop this just awful disease. And many of us here at the Wrestling Appreciation Society have had so many unfortunate experiences with cancer. Obviously, as Sammy Rice mentioned last week, he had family who were able to survive this disease, but some people do not have that. They don't feel the same way. Some people have unfortunately lost their family members to this disease, and we want to help put an end to it. We want to fight it. And by doing this show, it means so much to all of us, especially for what it stands for. And to be sharing the ring with so many greats like Gareth Angel, it will be an honor to share both a locker room and a ring with him.
I want to ask you this question when it comes to somebody like a Gareth Angel, and I'm sure Disciple is somebody else that'll be out there, and Tommy Dillon, the wild card, we're going to see him wrestle, and Matt Royale. But when it comes specifically to these veterans, let's say guys that have been world champions, guys that have been out there on the big stage, like a Tommy Dillon or a Gareth Angel or a Disciple, let's say, as an example. I mean, what advice are you going to take away in the locker room when you're with them or asking them questions coming up here? I mean, talk to me about what's that going to be like in terms of what you would ask them to further help your career.
Well, obviously, they have the experience, they have the knowledge, and they've had the drive for so many years. So any piece of advice they were able to give me or any other member of WIS, considering we have not been in this industry for over a year, and assuming a lot of us will carry this on once deadline is done, any piece of advice they can give us about this business and how to survive would be amazing.
Absolutely, no question about that. And I have no doubt that the veterans will certainly be happy to give any advice to the likes of an up and coming star like Phantom Phoenix here. And Michael also wants to say, how could I miss deadline? It's a town away from me. I will never forgive myself if I miss it. And if you also want to go out there and support the Wrestling Appreciation Society, go to WrestleSociety.com on Instagram, Wrestling Appreciation Society also on Facebook. Also, you can go to huddersfieldu.co.uk /groups /wrestling appreciation society DAB2 events was deadline. Go on Instagram. Link is in their bio. Go and buy a ticket. Go support this great cause. And also, Skulls wants to say, speaking of cancer, Skull's mom is in intermission as of today for the third time. Congratulations. So certainly that is certainly good news here. We certainly want to encourage everybody that is fighting cancer to stay strong, continue to defeat this horrific cause. And you think about all the money that we have in this world, yet we still haven't been able to find a way to cure cancer. But I have a feeling the Wrestling Appreciation Society is going to do their part to help, and that's why we want to support great companies like the Wrestling Appreciation Society. Michael says, come to think of it, I am mainly going to see Phantom Phoenix. I see Phoenix and think Tenacious D, Rise of the Phoenix. Wow, okay. What does that mean to you then to be able to have people like this that want to watch you? I'm sure family, friends are going to be there. And does that put pressure on you to kind of perform, especially you're going to be in a championship match, first match right off the bat? And we hear stories of that. I mean, famously, Santino Marella wins the Intercontinental title in his first match. And you do see this from time to time where wrestlers kind of debut and win the championship the first time or get a title shot in their first match. But does this put pressure on you at all in any way to kind of perform and be able to maybe keep the people happy and wanting to see more of you in the future?
Well, of course, it will put pressure on you. The nerves of the world are on your shoulders, but it also gives you that great desire to know that these people have come to see what you can do. If they are there to support you, then it means the absolute world, that they are coming from all over the country or all over the world just to see you. So, yes, there are nerves, there are pressure, but there is also the hunger and desire.
You know, they say a lot of times, and we've had on the good fortune of being able to speak with, let's say, professional wrestlers like yourself. I've had the opportunity to speak with professional athletes. I've had boxers come on. I've even had politicians here in New York because I have a background in that. So I've been fortunate to speak with people in very, very important setups around the world. And I thank everybody that has supported and believed in Sportswire Radio for giving me those opportunities to win a lot of fans. But I think in some ways you can look at it, the Phantom Phoenix, that actually that pressure, those nerves, are actually a good thing because it actually means you're thinking about it, and it actually means that you're going to be out and ready in full force to go out on the biggest stage and be able to do what the people want to see you do, which is kick some butt. Do you agree or disagree, or what's your thoughts on that?
Well, as the old saying goes, keep your head in the game and keep the eyes on the ball. We are going to go out there. We know what we want to do, and we intend to do it. Despite who's standing in our way, we know what they are capable of as well, but we want to be able to prove to them that we can be greater and that we can be champions?
Well, we're going to certainly find out here coming up on April the 29th at deadline. And Skull says it reminds you that there is a job that needs to be done. Yeah, I always think about when you were in school or kind of before an exam or the beginning of the start of a school year or a university year, whatever you might want to call it, depending on where you are around the world. It meant that you had nerves and you were thinking about what's going to happen. It made you think that something was big and you had to prepare. And I have no doubt that Owen Carter and the Phantom Phoenix, the Phantom of the Outlaw, are going to certainly be prepared here. And again, if you are on Sportswire Radio, continue to give us a like and follow on Facebook at Sportswire Radio. It's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can also listen to all of our great content on sportnarium.com/play. You can also subscribe to us on YouTube at Sportswire Radio. I have a lot of new subscribers over the past few months. I really appreciate that. Also, Facebook, where I have almost 600 followers on Facebook. So I really want to thank everybody that has really supported us here. We're also on Twitter at Thomas Price 2017, Instagram at the Sports Report 2021, and I'll be back also Sunday night coming up, which will be Monday morning UK time, with Wrestling Championship Entertainment coverage as they're getting one step closer to their own show, Luck of the Draw, and we'll kind of have a showdown, a face-to-face between the new Messiah, Nicholas Crenson, and Catalyst, James Marshall, 2/3 of the Interstate Openweight Championship match here that we'll see. And it's an elimination match. Also, we'll see Darkfire as a part of that. And Crenson and Catalyst, if you've been following WCE over the past year, have certainly had a war in the ring, outside the ring. And it's going to come to a head once again coming up here in a few weeks at Luck of the Draw. We're very, very excited. That'll be about 10 o'clock, I want to say, Central Time, so it's 11 p.m. Eastern Time in New York, UK time, because I think the clocks go back this week here in the UK, so that would mean about 3 a.m. also UK time. So a lot to talk about there from our friends over at Wrestling Championship Entertainment. Please give them a like and follow on Facebook at WCE Heat. That is WCE Heat, WCEHeat.com for more information. YouTube, Wrestling Championship Entertainment. And Wednesday, as I alluded to at Phantom Phoenix, we are going to have on the lawman Kyle Kennedy about 7:15 p.m. British Standard Time. Originally, it was going to be to talk about the Youngblood Championship and his kind of situation coming up at Zenith. But Zenith, we're going to have a different date. But we're still going to talk about him and Donnie Franchise. And I also have to bring this up here because look at what I just got here in the mail. And that is a lawman Kyle Kennedy shirt, which I'll be wearing live Wednesday night. Right now, I've got a Big Cheese Logan shirt from our friends over at Championship Wrestling Entertainment, CWE, but we've got now our lawman Kyle Kennedy shirt. So certainly I'm going to be wearing that, probably much to the chagrin of you and Owen Carter, but I'm looking forward to it. It's a beautiful shirt. You can get it also with our friends over at Pro Wrestling Tees. Go to Mr. Justice Kyle Kennedy to get one of yours, and also the Lawman K Kennedy on Instagram, Facebook. Follow him, Twitter as well. So I'm sure you're not too thrilled about that, but let me get to a couple of comments. Leave Kyle to Donnie. You guys just smacked the life out of the My Chemical Romance reject. Which, speaking of that, he says sorry. Who's this guy? You want to say anything to the man you're going to be standing across the apron from next month?
Of course he would show up. Callum, you might want to get a few things checked about the woman you are supposedly seeing every so often. And maybe check some facts and maybe get a little something else checked as well.
Well, can I just throw this out there? And again, I'm not trying to pry into people's personal business and such, but if he was hypothetically seeing your mother, let's say, wouldn't that make your mother kind of old compared to Mr. Majakester? I mean, I'm just throwing this out there. Has anybody kind of figured that out based on the math?
Well, I don't know who she is, so I wouldn't be able to answer that.
Well, I would think. I mean, you're obviously a young man, and certainly your mother couldn't have been a baby when she had you. So my point was, well, I mean, wouldn't your mother then be a lot older than Mr. Majakester? Just to throw that out there.
Well, if that's what Mr. Majakster's into, I'll leave that to him.
All right. Well, that reminds me famously, or not so famously, years ago when Hulk Hogan was divorced from his first wife, Linda Hogan, Linda Bolea. She was seeing this guy that had to have been like Callum Majakster's age, and she had to be at the time like, I don't know, 45-ish, 45 to 50. So, I mean, look, if it floats your boat, and you're like 22 and 50, I mean, float your boat, God bless you. But I'm going to leave that to Mr. Majakester. Also here, Skull says he'll be listening Sunday night. He says he's pissed off because Skulls, you're gonna chuckle actually. He sent us a shirt and I never got the shirt. He sent me a Skull shirt that I never got. So I don't know. Maybe the lawman kind of maybe took something away from him in the mail. I don't know. But he also says brain damage maybe for Callum and Jakester. And he also says, "Aw, that's sweet, Mummy's boy."
Well, I'm surprised she doesn't shout Goth Rapunzel to you every now and again.
Let me throw this out there, because obviously you and Callum have certainly had the war of words. It's been the talk of WAS, the talk of NSAW. Is it possible that maybe this gives you extra motivation, extra incentive coming up here at deadline to be able to, I don't know, do something that'll maybe get you guys to winning those tag team championships?
Oh, there's always motivation when it comes to a title, but there's even more motivation when it comes to the people who are holding it. The Society and Carter and I, we have had a war of words, and that war will carry on until deadline, and then the war of words becomes a war. Just a simple war in the ring, last man standing. And I will make sure, and I hope you're listening to this, Callum, when your body is on the floor unconscious, I will place one foot over that lifeless corpse. I will take that belt, hold it above your face, and then raise it above my head for everyone to see. And there's only one thing that will need to be said after that, and that is sweet dreams.
Will it be sweet dreams or what they're made of, as famously Annie Lennox had sang? I don't know, but I do know that if you also want to buy a shirt from Callum Majakester, which I know certainly I have in the mail waiting for me as well, you can go to prowrestlingtees.com/Callum Majakester and upgrade yourself and wear a shirt from Callum Majakester. Something tells me, though, that the Phantom Phoenix may not be buying one of those shirts. But he also wants to point out, show me a wrestling hold before you step up to me, darling.
Come deadline, I'll show you a lot more than just a simple wrestling hold. Of course, you may not have seen me in the ring yet, but when that date comes, it won't be just a simple hold or any simple technical stuff. I will give you everything that I've got. Every punch, every kick, everything that I can give you, you will see come deadline.
All right, we'll certainly find out. And Callum also wants to say, as a side point, I prefer the Marilyn Manson version of Sweet Dreams. Yeah, I do remember the Marilyn Manson version. I mean, obviously, Marilyn Manson been in the news for some of the wrong reasons, but certainly Marilyn Manson's version is definitely a great cover. Marilyn Manson definitely was. I did kind of like Manson a little bit. Manson was okay. I can't say he was. I mean, he's responsible for John 5, which is actually the guitarist of Motley Crue now. So you got to give Manson some, from a musical standpoint, a lot of credit. So Skulls, though, says that tap, tap, tap when it comes to Callum. We'll find out here. Be careful. Goth Rapunzel may whip her hair back and forth like Willow Smith. Wow, that's some strong words there. But Michael, we know, is really no fan of the Society, especially Callum Majakester. Let me throw a curveball out here. The Phantom Phoenix. Now, obviously, we don't know what you're going to be like in the ring, but hypothetically, could it be an advantage for you and your Owen Carter, your tag team partner, that you guys we don't know much of you in the ring? Where, in other words, let's say if it was a Gareth Angel, let's say if it was a Disciple, Tommy Dillon, let's say anybody else you throw out there. You can scout them. You can watch their matches. They have experience. Chris Murphy, another example, somebody in NSAW and WAS is somebody we have experience of watching. But you guys, we can't scout. So in a way, does it maybe take the Society off their game because they aren't able to scout you guys because you guys don't have much out there, and that's an advantage for you guys?
Well, I guess it could be the fear of the unknown. They don't know what we're going to bring. They don't know what moves we have. They don't know our arsenal. But Carter and I, we can study everything that they use. Anything they bring to a ring, we can watch, we can strategize, we can learn how to counteract that to our advantage. The Society can't do that. Anything that we throw at them, they won't be expecting. and that can give us a very subsequent advantage. We just need to make sure we pull it off.
Let me ask you this question, and I don't mean to throw this out there because obviously there's no question. We spoke about it a few minutes ago as we're here with pro wrestling star Phantom Phoenix. Will be in the ring coming up April the 29th for the Nonstop Action Wrestling Tag Team Championships at Wrestling Appreciation Society's inaugural show Deadline in Huddersfield. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryson. Your match with Owen Carter against the Societies, Majakester and Kane. We've got Donnie Franchise and Kyle Kennedy, and we know their history. We know how long they've been fighting each other inside the ring, outside the ring, social media, you name it. If you guys come up short, all of you, is April the 29th a failure at Wrestling Appreciation Society for the locker room?
Absolutely not. Even if we may not come out victorious, this, for a lot of us, is a first match. And a lot of wrestlers, we won't win our first match. But it teaches us something. It teaches us what we can do to improve, how we can improve our ring skills, how we can get better, and how one day we can become champions. But Deadline isn't just about us winning our matches or winning championships. It is about the cause, and that is to raise money for Cancer Research UK. So even if we do not win our matches, Deadline has already been a great success because of the cause that we are helping.
Oh, absolutely no question about that. And take a step back from this feud between the Society and the Fandom of the Outlaws, and obviously KP and Sammy Blue we'll see, also Donnie Franchise and Kyle Kennedy, everybody else, the Rumble itself. I mean, certainly we're all united in this cause of defeating cancer and putting a spotlight on trying to help people to kind of nip this in the bud. So I definitely agree with you. But you guys, certainly, let's say you, Carter, and Franchise have certainly had this beef with the Society, maybe more than anybody else. I mean, Matt Royale and Tommy Dillon's also another match that obviously we're all excited to see. But I feel like in some ways, though, you guys got to come up and get a victory here. At least one of you's here, just because of what has gone on between this war of words and everything else. I mean, even the attack on Sammy Rice. I mean, you've also got to be doing this for Sammy. I mean, Kyle Kennedy nearly could have killed Sammy Rice.
We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we take them down. But even if we lose one battle, the war between us and the Society is not over. There could be countless battles, whether it's the Phantom of the Outlaw looking to seek vengeance on the Society once again. They may take one battle, but the war will be far from over.
All right, well, we'll certainly stay tuned. And you can follow the Wrestling Appreciation Society again at WrestleSociety.hud. You can also follow the Phantom Phoenix. Please follow him also on _Phantom Phoenix. You can do that on Instagram as well. And a couple of comments here from Kellen Majakester. We've already beaten Owen Carter and KP, so it doesn't look good for Wrestling Appreciation Society, does it? Well, stay tuned. April the 29th. That's a reason why you're going to go out there and buy a ticket and watch the show for yourself. And a big stage, by the way. You guys are at a big stage for a debut show out there in Huddersfield. Win or lose, it's not a loss. It's for cancer. And what could be greater than donating for helping people suffering with it like my dad is? Obviously, yes, absolutely no question that we want to do this. We want to kick cancer in the butt and certainly make sure cancer hopefully is permanently defeated. That is certainly our hopes. One day we're all on this earth. It's just something to me. I mean, countless people have been impacted by it, and it's just terrible. I want to ask you because you have merchandise out there, and I saw it's on your Instagram page. So I spoke about Kyle Kennedy's merchandise. Kyle Majakes plugged his. So let's talk about maybe some Phantom Phoenix merchandise out there.
Well, luckily right now I do happen to be wearing the Phantom Phoenix shirt.
Excellent salesman there.
And this shirt, it was made for me by such an amazing person. And if you want to check out her work, please go to, I think it is mad.designs03 on Instagram. Please go and check her out. She's such an amazing, amazing designer, and her art skills are some of the best I've ever seen. So please go and check her out.
I Chad would definitely agree. I'm going to give her a huge shout out here. It is Maddie.designs3. Make sure you follow Maddie Designs. Logo making and tattoo design. Also, cups, t-shirts, vinyl printing, open for commissions, message for inquiries, and you can certainly get your list of places, whether it's Phantom of Phoenix designs, whether it's some cup designs, some notebook designs. Maddie Designs is your place to be. So certainly move on over Shop Zone at WWE, move on over AEW, Pro Wrestling Tees. Maddie Designs, I think, is certainly on the way to joining. So great stuff there. And who knows? Maybe I'll own a Phantom Phoenix shirt one of these days. So certainly at this point, I always joke, Phantom, that at this point, all my wardrobe these days is wrestling shirts. I was at a big steakhouse here in New York about 2 months ago, and I'm sitting there, and the decor was, well, you've got to show up and be fancy. And what do I do after I take off my coat? I had my wrestling shirt on, and they kind of looked at me, and they couldn't kick me out. So these days, all I'm doing is wearing wrestling shirts, and I'm damn proud of it because we love our independent wrestlers. And I think as Dave Douglas of the Modern Day Mafia accurately said, if you buy a shirt, you're certainly supporting your favorite wrestler to go out and keep their journey alive. So all great stuff here. I want to ask you, what are your goals here coming up for professional wrestling?
Well, ever since I started training, I've been hooked on this. I want to keep going even after deadline. This has given me something that I never thought I'd be able to do. It has taken a childhood dream and turned it into an adulthood reality. And I want to keep this reality going for as long as I can. Whether if I lose a deadline or not, one defeat does not make a man. A legacy makes the man. And I want to create my own legacy as the Phantom Phoenix.
Hey, they always say sometimes you learn more in defeat rather than victory, and it's how you deal with adversity. So some fair points here, certainly. I could definitely see where you're going from here with that, no question. I want to ask you also then in terms of when you get ready to step into the ring, April is one. This is your first match, and it's for a championship. Talk about what's that going to be like that day in terms of just when you finally get into the building, and what is your mindset going to be like?
Of course, there will be nerves and pressure when I step in the building, but as soon as my music plays, as soon as I walk out to the ring, there will be nothing but pure focus on the task at hand. There is nothing that is going to stop me, and there is nothing that will distract me from the society and claiming the NSAW tag team titles with Owen Carter.
What would it mean to you to become the second ever non-stop action wrestling tag team champions?
It would mean everything to both of us, because not only would we be the second ever tag team champions, it would mean that we are the first to defeat the NSAW tag team champions. And it's like I said in a previous statement, the word first in this business is truly a great honor, but the word next can be the most important thing. And Carter and I want to make sure that the Phantom of the Outlaw will be the next NSAW tag team champions.
And the upgrade, Calvin Jakester says, Tom, stop giving him hope. He's never getting my belt. So he's saying you're dreaming.
Come deadline, he'll be the one having the sweet dreams.
We'll see what sweet dreams are made of. I have a feeling I'm going to be listening to the Annie Lennox version and the Marilyn Manson version at some point later today to kind of certainly compare and contrast, as they might want to say, when it comes to music class and such, which I did take in college, by the way. Wasn't very good at. But I have to ask you, because we are going to have the lawman, Kyle Kennedy, before I get to final thoughts and a few other things here with you. Anything you want to say to Mr. Lawman coming up Wednesday night, since he's going to be in your chair next?
I'll be watching along on Wednesday night, and I'll have a lot more to say to him. But for now, Kennedy, you don't realize the mistake that you've made. You didn't just attack Sammy Rice. You attacked all of us, and we took that very personally. Despite everything you have been able to achieve, and despite everything you've ever fought for, this is one mistake that you will regret. Because if Donny Franchise can't take you down at deadline, I'll certainly put my name in the hat to be the one to do that.
Ooh, strong words here from the Phantom Phoenix for the lawman, Kyle Kennedy. And I know the lawman's going to have something to say about that Wednesday, but I want to ask you again on Sammy Rice, because certainly he was very emotional with what happened to Sammy Rice. The attack shook up not just the Enzo locker room, your locker room, but probably the professional wrestling world, especially in the UK and everybody else on Sportswire that watches us. And I mean, talk about maybe what you guys feel right now in terms of motivation to get back and maybe do this for Sammy. It's not a Sammy Rice tribute show, obviously, but Sammy certainly could have lost his life. I mean, this is how serious this attack was. I mean, talk to me about kind of the motivation you have in terms of doing this for Sammy.
Obviously, first of all, we are so grateful to have Sammy Rice back as referee. They are someone who you just cannot hate. They mean such a great deal to us, and to have them back refereeing a Deadline is nothing short of a miracle, and is a great privilege to have them there. But Sammy, I promise you this. With my match, and Owen Carter's match with the Society, we know you'll be officiating, but we're not just going to be fighting for the titles. We will be fighting for you.
We're going to find out here April the 29th. Again, it's just a short, about 5 weeks or so from now. So certainly very excited about the future here coming up of Phantom Phoenix and Owen Carter. They are called the Phantom of the Outlaw. They will be wrestling for those tag team championships at Deadline against the Society's Callum Jakes, the Upgrade, and Remus Kane. So I want to ask you then couple of final questions here. And obviously, it's been a tremendous honor to have you here. We look forward to watching you on the 29th. First match here. First match for a championship. Boy, certainly a very, very rarefied air there. Congratulations. And you guys are getting the next shot at those titles, because obviously we don't know yet when Zenith will be rescheduled. And obviously, we'll look forward to hearing that from management. Maybe Richard Knight's in your chair next Friday, if that works for Mr. Knights. We'll put him in your chair and see what he has to say about that. But what do you want to say as possibly your final thoughts to Remus Kane and Callum Jakester before next month at Deadline for their tag team championships?
Well, Remus, Callum, and to the rest of the Society, you may underestimate us. You may think of us as nothing, but come Deadline, Donny Franchise, Owen Carter, and Phantom Phoenix will become your burning nightmares. So be ready and be prepared to go down on one knee and bow your heads to the Wrestling Appreciation Society. Sweet dreams, boys.
I'll tell you what, for whatever reason, I hear this song Head Like a Hole from Nine Inch Nails, where Trent Reznor famously sings, "Your time is coming. You will get what you deserve." We'll certainly see if that's going to be the case for the Society, the Nonstop Action Wrestling Tag Team Champions. And Skulls says, "Happy soul hunting." And Skulls, by the way, is a soul collector. He hunts souls. So certainly, if you want to know a soul collector, Skulls is definitely one of them. He says, "Bring the gold home" here. So we'll have to find out April the 29th. I'm sure Kennedy will certainly have a different perspective on that. But I want to ask you this last question before closing thoughts. And what do you want to say to anybody that has watched you here tonight for the first time? What do you want to say to anybody that's thinking about buying a ticket to watch you at Huddersfield coming up on April the 29th, or anybody that's already bought a ticket and is looking forward to watching you here come up wrestle for the first time and for those tag team championships at Deadline?
Well, to those people who have already bought tickets and have donated with the link in the Wrestling Appreciation Society's Instagram, on behalf of all of WIS, we give you the biggest thank you in the world, because you're not only helping us, you're helping one of the biggest causes in the world right now. So a massive thank you from all of us here at WIS. And to people who are considering buying a ticket, please buy your tickets online. It will be such an amazing show for such an amazing cause. We promise that. So please buy your tickets, donate to the charity. You will not regret buying your tickets and donating for Cancer Research UK. We appreciate everyone who supported us so far, and we will appreciate the continued support in the future.
Amen. amen to all of that. And certainly, if I had the opportunity to live not too far from Huddersfield, I would have a front row seat. But something tells me I probably would do some ring introductions because I know everybody loves these ring introductions on Sportswire. But we will certainly get there one day. But in the meantime, we look forward to covering over the next several weeks Wrestling Appreciation Society and the future of the event. And certainly all the great wrestlers are part of it. Again, Gareth Angel announced last week. We had the opportunity to exclusively announce that. So I want to thank, obviously, everybody involved, management at Wrestling Appreciation Society, also, and Mr. Angel himself for giving us this opportunity. So I know you're a busy man, the fan of Phoenix. I know you're getting ready for training, getting ready for thinking about whose side you're on this time in terms of everything else, whether you're human, not human, but also everything coming up for those tag team championships, which you definitely desperately want to get your hands on. So I want to give you the floor now. I want to give you some closing thoughts. Anything else that you want to plug, share, say? And I can't thank you enough for this opportunity to allowing us to speak with you tonight on Sportswire Radio and kicking off the weekend. So I turn it over to you, my friend. The floor is yours, and fire away.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on here, Mr. Bryce. It's been an absolute honor and pleasure to come on here and talk with you. And second of all, once again, massive shout out to Maddie Designs on Instagram for making me these shirts. Please go and check out her work because I hope for more future designs and with her work for any future t-shirts I may brand. And for the society, we'll see you soon, boys.
Ooh, I'll tell you what, big words. I want to make sure I also plug a couple of more people one more time. The _ Phantom Phoenix on Instagram. You certainly got a very interesting look, but I love the logo, love the designs. And again, you can get those designs at Madi. It's MADI.designs3. So Maddie Designs 3. Want to make sure that we give a big shout out to Maddie Designs. Also want to make sure one more time we follow Wrestling Appreciation Society on Instagram at WrestleSociety.HUD. Also Facebook Wrestling Appreciation Society. Phantom Phoenix, the _ Phantom Phoenix. Nonstop Action Wrestling, NSOR Wrestling UK on Instagram, NSOR Rest _ UK on Twitter. Nonstop Action Wrestling on Facebook and YouTube. Make sure that you support one of our favorite companies that is undoubtedly Nonstop Action Wrestling and the Wrestling Appreciation Society. And Skulls one more time says happy soul hunting. So, my friend, I can't thank you enough for this opportunity. I'm looking forward to speaking with you much more. We'll see what the future brings. Will it have gold? I don't know. Will it be sweet dreams for you guys? And certainly at the expense of Mr. Majakester and Mr. Kane, stay tuned. But thank you for the opportunity for being here with us on Sportswire Radio and kicking off the weekend and also continuing our coverage of Wrestling Appreciation Society here on Sportswire Radio. All right. Well, we thank you for the opportunity. And if you are on sportnarium.com/player, you'll go back to your regularly scheduled programming. And I will be back live with the regular Sportswire Radio Sports Show team. We'll be back here at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, which will be 1:30 a.m. UK time. So we'll speak all the latest happenings in the world of sports. We'll also have the contest winner for the Rob Maraska contest, which has 160 likes on Twitter. We'll see what that generates. It'll be at 10 o'clock on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, as well as Sportswire Radio. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in on Sportswire Radio. I'll be back again Sunday night, Monday morning, UK time, with Wrestling Championship Entertainment's The New Messiah, Nicholas Crenson, and Catalyst James Marshall. There'll be 2/3 of the Wrestling Championship Entertainment Interstate Openweight Championship match. And thank you, everybody, here for tuning in. My name is the Reverend Tom Bryce. I'm the host of the Sports Report, the owner of Sportswire Radio, the #1 global radio station. Good night. Enjoy your weekend. And thank you once again. Thank you to Wrestling Appreciation Society's management for granting us the opportunity to speak with Phantom Phoenix. Good night, everyone.